Hey guys, it's Wanda. Welcome to Pecan Grove. Yesterday we ground Danny corn into grits and corn flour or cornmeal. And today I have the task of sifting some of it and processing it, putting it in bags or jars and whatever. So today I'm going to take you along a little bit on what I'm doing here in the prepper shack. Yesterday when we finished, we had 8 or 9 5-gallon buckets of cornmeal. I have these 3 here and these 3 here. So that's 3 full 5-gallon buckets of cornmeal. Plus I took some in. I sent Cynthia home a bunch, Chris home a bunch, and Heidi and Tim a bunch. So they all ended up with a good bit of cornmeal. And Danny has a whole corn wall that still has to be done, at least this much or more. Now, this has not been sifted at all, except what the meal did. And it's beautiful and it looks good, but in order to store, the bigger pieces of the hull and stuff need to come out because that is what has the oil in it and we need it out of there. So I have 2 different things here. One is just a regular old, I guess you call it a Bromwell's sifter. Old-fashioned. This is a really old one. Had this one for a long time. This is probably one of the originals. Now I have a new one. The new one has 4 of these. Well, actually 2 because it's 2 sides, but it has this in there twice, so it looks like a ball in there that rolls around. I found the new one does not do as well as this old one. I just like the old one. So I'm sifting at one time, and I'm ending up with what I would call a good cornmeal. We made cornbread yesterday. Everybody loved it. Quite a few of them seconds. Every time I turn around, they were eating cornbread. So that is a great thing. Then when I get that, I'm sifting it through this. This is a finer mesh. And I'm coming up with this. This is my grits. So my goal is, for the house, I'm going to fill this up with grits, this up with the cornmeal like this, and then we're going to process the rest as far as sifting out and getting to this stage here, because that right there is what I want to cook with. And what comes out is this right here. Now the chickens love this. It's mainly husk and big chunks of pieces that didn't get ground really well or something, so the chickens love it. You can use it, but we're not. So I have 3 5-gallon buckets that I have to do myself today. And in order to keep them long term, I'm going to go ahead and use my largest Mylar bags that I got from Harvest Right for my freeze dryer. I found that the large ones I did not use very often. I used the medium and the smaller ones a lot. So I had several packs of these, and I just brought 2 of them because I don't know how many it's gonna, how well it's gonna pack in there and stuff. So I'm gonna be using these, and I'm gonna be using the heat sealer in this to put them in Mylar because that will preserve it longer. Then we have oxygen absorbers, and I'm gonna throw those in there before I heat seal it, and we're gonna store it in a cool, dry place. That way, it should last at least, a year, 2 years. They say up to 10 years. But, we're going to have corn possibly every year. So I'm hoping 2 years it will preserve in the Mylar. So you want to get some of the meal that came out of the grist mill. You want to get, I would say, maybe half your Bromwell sifter. And I've got it where I just sit and do this. I just shake it back and forth to get out all the cornmeal and grits, and it leaves the chicken feed. So I can show you what's in there now, like this, and then that's still a good bit. And I have my meal and grits here, but I sit and bump it on my hands, and you can see I'm still getting some meal out and some grits. So I bump it until, you see how much is still coming out? Still getting it, and it doesn't look like there's much in there. But as long as I'm still getting cornmeal and grits, I just bump it. And yeah, it does take a little while to just keep doing that. Okay, so that time I didn't get much. That is what's left. I mean, mine need like a tablespoon. Out of half of the sifter, I was probably close to 1.5 cups of stuff. I've got a tablespoon that the chickens get, so it doesn't bother me that the chickens get some. And we have meal and grits here. That's what's in this one. Okay, then once I've done this for a while and get this up pretty rounded, I take this, which is, we have 2 different screens. You can see the sifter has a bigger holes than the little, I call this a mini hand sift or whatever. This one has smaller holes in it. So once I've done this, I take some of this, about 1 cup, and I move over to this bucket. And I just sit here and you can see it sifting out here. This bucket is my flour. And I just sit here and bump it. And yeah, your hand's gonna get tired, so I'm taking take a break. I went and got some coffee. See, I've got my coffee. And I take a break and I'll stop for a few minutes. But I sift out as much of this as I can. And once there's not much coming out, there's my grits. And then I have this here that I'm putting my grits in. And it does have a little bit of flour, but we don't mind a little bit of flour in our grits because it makes them creamier. Now the flour, nothing but pure corn flour, y'all. You can't beat that. That's just, I mean, you can make a cake out of this. And that's what I use to make muffins sometimes. Just add some sugar. You don't really know that it's not a flour. So that is the way I do things. Start with the sifter. And I've been doing this a couple of hours this morning already. And I've done about 3 of these already. And I have 3 more to go. And I thought I was doing pretty good till Danny informed me we put 8-gallon bags that haven't been sifted in a freezer yesterday. So it won't all get done today, but by putting it in the freezer, it will last a long time in the freezer, and I can sift it as needed. And I took out some to send to Kathy and Mickey, Hills Mills Homestead, because they help with the meal. They help find this meal. And we're going to send them some of the grits and cornmeal. And Kathy, you're going to have to sift your own. I give everybody unsifted meal yesterday like this and sent them home and told them to sift their own. And y'all, I really like the old Bromwell sifter a lot better than some. And some of you may have the ones with the hand thing. Whatever you have, use a bigger hole sifter of some sort and a smaller hole later for your flour. And that's all there is to it. It is time consuming, but once I finish this, Danny and our goal was to have enough cornmeal and grits to last for 2 years. So he may not plant Danny corn next year. He wants to plant a different type of corn, plant some sweet corn and stuff. And I think we made it already, and he still has corn in the shop. He still has half or better of the corn in the shop ready to be taken off the cob. When we get it out of the mill, we run the Danny corn through the mill. This is what we end up with. This texture right here. So you can see it has bigger chunks. It still has everything like the corn in it right here. So this is just out of the mill. Once I sift it with the Bromwell sifter, this is what I get. So you can see there's a difference in that. You don't have all the brown specks because I took it out, and this is what we call chicken feed. So you have this from the mill equals both of those sifted out. Then I take this and run it through this sifter here, and I get both of these. So this equals grits, so you can see the texture of the grits, and corn flour. All together it is cornmeal. So it's a process, and you get all these products, and I'm going to be storing the grits that I took out here. I'm going to finish filling this up, but this is the grits. I'm going to mix the cornmeal, which is a mixture here of both of these. I'm going to fill this up, and I'm going to keep some corn flour just for things that we like that don't need the extra gritty taste to it. We like to have corn flour on hand. So that's going to be one of our specialties, is having grits, corn flour, and cornmeal, plus chicken feed, all out of one little bitty kernel of corn. That's the process when I get through that we will have. All right, guys, this is my 3 jars that's going in for use for now. I have my grits, my cornmeal, and my corn flour. And look at the texture of each one. Isn't that amazing? So in my new kitchen, I have these tall ball jars here. I have one with popcorn, one with basmati rice from McCaskill Family Farms, and I'll have one with Danny corn. And then beside it, I will have my grits and corn flour. I think it's going to be an awesome look in my kitchen. All right, we're going to be trying what we call the chicken feed that we've been doing. It's a lot of husk, I think, more than anything, but we're going to try it in my Nutri-Meal and see what happens there. So I'm going to turn it on, and out comes a little oat flour. It's just cleaning it. Okay, it's making some flour, so I'm going to clockwise it just a little bit. Okay, this is what we're getting. See how much more corn flour we're getting out of that? So instead of feeding the chickens everything, we've just done one more process that's going to give us more meal. And this is a stone grain meal. It has two little, I think it's 3-inch stones in the top here, which is amazing because it just took chicken feed down to almost nothing.
Okay guys, we took about a half a gallon of our, we call it chicken feed. It's actually not really chicken feed. We just use it for chicken. It's the screenings out of what we're doing. We took about a half a gallon of it here. It's it can still be eaten just like it is if you want to, but we're trying to refine it even more. So I'm gonna sit here and try to put a little bit in this. I want to run it through this sifter and see, is there anything left after running it through the nutrient? Oh, okay, let's try that. I want to take a look at it, because if we can refine it down and make something that's even more usable out of it and not be feeding, you know, all of it to the chickens, then that is going to be a really good thing. Now I can tell this don't have as much flour in it. This is going to have more corn.
Well, I don't want to mix it with my good flour.
No. This don't have no, this is more like grits.
Yeah.
The meal wasn't set real fine.
Okay, stop with that for a minute. All right, what we're getting is
I'll let it fall in here.
a lot of husk right here. So the husk, that will be chicken feed.
Yeah, that's all
And
chicken
that's
feed
what
right
we're
there.
going to be. We got chicken feed right here. We're going to run it through this and see how much flour we actually have by doing that, and how much is grits or husk. Because you should have just got most of the. So you're getting some more flour out.
Yeah, this is
That's really good.
if we're trying to not lose our flour, that's the biggest issue, because I have a gluten issue, and the more flour we can end up with, the better we like it. And this will still be grits left in this.
Yes, it can still be cooked. And one thing, this will have more husk in it because we were running all the husk and it ground husk into it. So when you put this grits into your water, if any of that husk floats up,
Float to the top. Yeah.
just skim it off like you would skimmings if you were doing something else.
Yeah, so that's about all I'm gonna get out of it. And
But you see how much flour, that's what.
this right here, I mean, when I'm looking at this, you know, to me what this would be really good for? Battering fish or
Yeah, that's
something.
that's what I use corn flour for a lot of times.
like battering up fish
So-
or something. Because if I do that, I'm really not getting that much more.
No.
I'm getting a lot of husk in that.
So we want to keep this separate because this was but you see the grits that came out of it. And some of that is husk, but look at the grits.
That's a lot of grits in there.
That's a lot of
That's almost
grits.
a cooking right there.
That's almost enough for us for breakfast.
Yeah.
And now we're down to, instead of a gallon or a half a gallon of chicken feed, we're down to what, a cup and a half?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing. We've taken our quality down even more, and the chickens don't get as much, but oh well.
Yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles though. This is our other grits. It looks really nice.
Yeah, these grits,
Those are pretty yellow grits.
they still have a touch of ground husk in them, but not as much as that has. So I want to kind of keep them
Well,
separate.
we should have another one of these right there, but make sure it's
It's
dry.
got,
What's in it?
this is meal. This is that meal I just did. Oh, we hadn't finished. All we did was one sifting. This is what I did with the Nutri-Meal.
Okay.
So we've got more with the Nutri-Meal.
Okay, because I was fixing to say, man, what are we doing all these containers here? Okay.
So you're not quite through. So
Okay, now I gotta get a container to put this in. There's a, well, that's not a good thing.
Nope, hold on, right here. And I can do it this way.
Well, you're putting it in with the other one. You're not gonna have that. Ain't gonna
No,
be
this is flour.
Yeah, but there was a good bit of that. There.
We're doing it right. Just keep going. Double taking it. He's taking the husk out and I'm taking the grits out. Or I'm taking the flour out of the grits. So once yours starts, okay, you're not getting
much in.
So that's chicken feed.
And that goes in this bucket?
Yeah. And I'm not getting much flour out of this, so this goes into our grits. Okay?
Let me just take this and it's a little bit easier doing it that way.
So we'll have to redo that because technically we got more than we thought.
Yeah, this is refining way on. You know, you could label this as like fish batter, you know?
Yeah.
Or
To coat chicken
yeah,
or
it's just like for
anything.
coating things with, yeah, actually. And save your other corn flour, refiner, for
Muffins.
muffins and stuff, yeah.
It's pretty cool that we can double take that.
Yeah.
Saves time.
Okay.
All right, you should be.
I'm about there. Yeah, that's just all waste right there. You can look at that and tell that's all waste.
All right, so I'm not getting much flour.
Yeah, this is working out a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I can probably squeeze it.
One more time. This. Okay.
That looks like Zatarain.
Without any flavor.
Without any flavor.
I could throw some Miss Lippy's up in there and have our own Zatarain.
Yeah, that's what it looks just like. It looks like when you go to the store and buy the fish fry stuff.
The fish coating.
Yeah. Like that Louisiana, well, don't you see it in the little bags in the store?
Yeah. It
Looks
just
like
has no seasoning in
There's
it.
no seasoning in it, but I mean, it looks like the same stuff. Okay, guys, after refining it down even more with the Nutri-Meal, taking what we were throwing away to the chickens, we kept looking at it going, man, this is like we're just using a lot of, we're losing a lot of stuff here. And running it through the Nutri-Meal,
This is what's left.
that's just husk.
This is definitely just husk.
That's just husk.
So, and it's about what? Maybe 2 cups? 3?
Yeah, probably a couple
Less
of
than
cups.
3?
And this, we still ended up, we got these are good old-fashioned grits right here, what's left over. I mean, they might have a little bit more husk in it, but like Ms. Wanda said, when you put it in the water to get ready to cook it, all them husks are gonna come to the top. And when they do, you can just skim that right off, so that ain't no problem. And then we got this here, we got a catfish pond with brim and all that kind of stuff in it, and we always like to, batter our fish up with our Danny corn. This stuff right here is not as fine as that over there is because it was we didn't, Ms. Wanda didn't turn the Nutri-Meal down and run it like super fine. This looks like perfect fish batter. All we got to do is put a little salt and fish seasoning in it, and that will give us something to batter our fish with, which means now we've created another product out of our cornmeal that we've been grinding here. So I'm excited now. So we're going to have some fish batter. We're going to have a little bit heavier grits there. And plus we got what we're already doing here. We got grits and cornmeal and corn flour. It takes a little time, but you know what? This little bit of time is going to last us for a long time. You always got one. Grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Okay, well, I would like to first of all take this opportunity to thank my Heavenly Father, because we had probably one of the best years for corn that we've ever had. And the Lord has really blessed us this year. And I want to praise Him for that before I say anything else. What Wanda and I have done here, we set the meal up, we ground it with the cub, we got all that done with Tim and Heidi and Cynthia and Chris. We all got together, just had a good time, ground cornmeal. We sent home with them close to 3 bucketfuls of cornmeal, dispersed out between them. We gave, there's 2 of them up here of scratch, just trash that went to the chickens. And this is what we have left. Now, we put 8-gallon bags in one of our freezers, and we took the rest of it because we didn't have any more freezer room. We decided, well, we got to do something with this. So we took, and Miss Wanda and me began, or Miss Wanda more than me, began the long process.
At 6:30 this morning.
At 6:30 this morning. It is 1:30 in the afternoon. Now, we did take off for lunch.
We took a lunch break.
And a snack break around 9. But this is what we've got here. Now, we learned a few things. Miss Wanda likes to use the corn flour to make things for us. So we actually got 4 bags here of corn flour. That's just the regular corn flour. Now, we have some here. This is what we call meal for fish batter, because what we've done, now this may sound a little humorous, but the screenings that we had left off of the grist meal that we were going to send to the chickens after we sifted out the cornmeal with our sifter, we got the Nutri-Meal over there, and we got to talking. I said, I bet you if we run these screenings through that Nutri-Meal, we could probably get more out of it. And that is what the fish batter is. The fish batter here, we ran the screenings through it. Now this has a little bit more of the husk in it, and it's a little different tint than the real good corn flour that that was from the original. So we ended up with a whole another quart of corn flour that we would not have had to batter fish and stuff like that with. But now we've got 14 bags of just good old-fashioned cornmeal here. Now we got one of them here in a clear bag right here that you can actually see. This is what it looks like in all these Mylar bags here. Now we've done a lot of research online trying to figure out what was the absolute best way to keep cornmeal. And was it bolted versus unbolted? I mean, canning in the jars, dry canning, freezing, just vacuum sealing, putting them in Mylar bags. I mean, you name it. And we came up for our situation, the best that we could do was to try to take as much of the husk and all out of it as we could. Anything that might have had some oil to it, out of it as much as we could, and feed that to the chickens, and take the rest of it and put it in the Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers in it and seal the tops of it. When we made the corn flour, what you have left after you have made corn flour with a sifting is you have grits. Now we have 3 actual bags, or 3.5 really, actual bags of just pure grits that we're going to be putting up for long-term storage. Now we have these grits. These grits are the ones that were left over from when we made, this was the chicken scratch that we had, was going to feed to the chickens, ran it through the Nutri-Meal, we sifted it. This is the grits that was left over from the fish batter cornmeal that we had left over. So we have one of each, a quart of each left over. Now, Miss Wanda had her little display here. I probably done knocked it all around out of the way, but here, she did something to take into the house for us to just keep on the counter. We have the corn flour, then we have the cornmeal, which we'll probably use more cornmeal than we use any of the rest of it, and then we have the grits here. Now I eat, Miss Wanda and I eat a good bit of grits. We like it. And she uses a corn flour when she's making muffins and stuff like that because of the gluten issues we have now. So that is really where we're at today. I mean, it was a long haul to actually get here. This is the Danny corn after it has been shucked. This is kind of an assortment of the different types of corn that is actually is harvested there. Some of it has the blue in it and the yellows, and then you've got the reds, and then you got the mingledy colored, and then you got the mostly yellow color. And this is kind of what it looks like once it's shelled off the cob. This was what it looked like when we put it into the grist mill that's out there that we use now. And everything that you see right here is the byproduct of this right here. Now, what we're going to do is first of all, we'd like to say thank you to Mr. Mickey and Miss Kathy, because without them, none of this would have been possible. Literally none of it would have been possible, because they're the ones who delivered the grist mill here to us. And you'll be able to find them at Hills Mill Homestead on YouTube. And they sell an assortment of different things. I mean, they have the electroculture rods for both the fruit orchards and the gardens. I mean, we purchase from them all the time, trying to up ours and get everything going. We will have some links in the description down below if we can get this all put together like we need to, for the things like the sifters that we use, you know, the Mylar bags here from Harvest Right, and the Nutri-Meal over here that Ms. Wanda used. I mean, some of these things, we'll put some links in the description down below if you're interested in them, because I'm going to tell you what, it has made a world of difference for us. Guys, this has been one journey that I have literally loved. I mean, I'd like to say thank you for all the help that we had while we were doing it. The old-fashioned grist mill, grinding cornmeal with the old Cub tractor. Mr. Tim was asking me, he said, what year model is the grist mill? I said, 1940, according to the plate that's on it. And he said, what year model is the Cub? I said, 1950. And he just sit there and shook his head, you know, and I was just like, Mr. D came over. I forgot about Mr. D coming over. And he had never seen this done. You know, none of the people that was there had ever seen this done except me and Chris and Miss Wanda. And everybody was mesmerized. I mean, it was some of the best fellowship I think we've had in a long time. And Mr. D looked and he said, he's 70-something years old. He said, all my life I've never seen this done. And he said, I was like a kid in a candy store. He said, this was the most amazing thing I have ever seen. And guys, this is what's happened when technology takes everything away and mechanizes it, and you don't get to do this kind of stuff anymore. It's sad that these pieces of equipment now are collector's items, and they're outrageously priced so that the regular people out there that, you know, most people can't afford it. And it breaks my heart that this kind of stuff can't just go on all the time, like the old-fashioned hog killings where all the families would get together and they'd kill the pigs, and it'd be, you know, you'd make all your lard, and you know, everything was made, your cracklings and your sausages, and the meat was smoked, the bacon was cured and smoked, and all this kind of stuff. These things were not only just means of survival, this was fellowship time. So guys, the fellowship is where it's really all at. You know, and it's sad that this has been taken from us as a society. So today, I hope you've enjoyed just the old-fashioned way of life. So guys, I mean, that's not all there is to it. The funny part about this is I still got a whole wall of corn in my shop out here that I still got to take off and do. I mean, we run out of 5-gallon buckets to put this corn in, so I had to stop. And now I still got all that to go, so this is not the only grinding I'm going to be doing. There'll be another one down the road. It might be further into the wintertime when it's cooler than it is right now. But, you know, we got that coming up. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed today. I hope you've enjoyed the old-fashioned way of life. that we've tried to share here at Pecan Grove, and we're trying to live the simpler life here. And I pray it's been a blessing to you. So thank you from Pecan Grove.